Hello everyone, it's Chris here from AtlanticUndergroundPodcast.com. Now, with all eyes currently on the Ukraine, people are maybe starting to forget about what went on in Canada and what went on in their countries over the past 2 years. Although I grade that doubtly because it's been quite the thing. What if these two things currently are linked and people are not realising the grand plan that is to be rolled out here? What we need to take a look at is the reasons and the mindset of people after certain events. And I am seeing a lot of people online posting, their support for the Ukraine. But I'm wondering whether they are missing the point completely. Now, what we have seen, certainly over the last 2 years, has been gross incompetence from governments all around the world. And certainly what we saw here in Canada with the Emergency Measures Act, which we like to call the Desperate Measures Act, and the actions of the politicians and the ignorance and violence and everything that went on with the police up in Ottawa, and certainly the truckers movement, which brought a lot of light upon what's going on. We're also seeing severe violence down in Australia, and we have leaders like Jacinta over there, the lovely lady in New Zealand. These politicians who are leaders of their kind, the prime ministers, the presidents, they all seem to have done an absolutely terrible job over the past 2 years. And that could be with reason. What we're also seeing, as we said, in the Ukraine is Vladimir Putin apparently pushing back with the disdain for NATO and the Western world and the promises that were made to him in regards to the land. Let's put all this together. And let's come up with a scenario here which maybe a lot of people are not looking at. I want to get back to this, the Great Reset. The Great Reset is a plan laid out by the World Economic Forum. And if you don't know what the World Economic Forum is, you can actually go and Google their page, and you're going to be able to go onto their site, and laid out upon their site in quite a complex manner, although it is accessible when you start searching, is all the information that you need to their plans. This is the group that have said you will own nothing and you will be happy. Well, that doesn't sound very good for humanity on the planet. What is also a thing to take a look at is the young global leaders, of which many are no longer young. We have key people in corporations around the world, but even more scarier are the leaders, the prime ministers and the presidents around the world, which we were talking about just a little earlier, who are now members, young leaders, who have been nurtured and grown into their positions and put into these positions with the help of the World Economic Forum. So what this tells you is we have a global structure of leaders that look like they're opposed to each other, when in fact they're all working for the same goal and the same unit. So what is that goal? My view upon the incompetence that we discussed a few seconds ago, and the past 2 years of failings, and now Putin has come out and has exposed the groups that are attacking him, NATO and other countries, and he's exposed what has gone on in the wars since World War I and World War II, right the way through, with colour revolutions that have gone on to overthrow governments, and basically outright debauchery and corruption right the way through the system to bring about leaders and people in positions within countries around the world. What we need to understand here is there is one goal, and there always has been one goal. And in making leaders around the world and politicians right now look like they can't do the job, exposing the corruption that they're involved with, means that the people would be glad to have these politicians and governments removed from around the world. And I've got a feeling that there's going to come more things that people are going to be disgusted with that are going to call for the removal of politicians and governments all around the world for what they have done. And that may be part of what we've seen in the last 2 years with COVID and the mistakes they've made and the fact that they push so many people to be vaccinated. It could be illnesses that are going to follow on from that, or just the sheer way that they are treating the people around the world who have now had enough and are prepared en masse in millions to stand up, protest, go out and stand their ground against them. This, I think, is deliberate. I think that the World Economic Forum is creating a scenario globally where the people stand up and demand the removal of these corrupt people from government. But guess what? The goal has always been and will always remain to be, for the Great Reset, a full centralised global governance of the world. We're talking possibly a one world central banking system, even into religion, but certainly a one world governance. And when people have spoken about the New World Order, and there's plenty of past presidents and prime ministers that like to throw this into their speeches. The Bushes were famed for it, as well as many other US presidents. So what is going to happen? They are going to get the people to overthrow everyone around the world. And then they're going to step in with the solutions. And I think this has been the goal all along. A one world government, a centralised for everything, and they have control over us with what they're going to bring out with digital currencies for that one world currency. And we're trapped. Stay awake, guys. The plans and the tricks and the psychological warfare that they are waging against mankind right now is absolutely unbelievable. And I want you to start connecting the dots. I want you to start looking at who these global young leaders are. I want you to go away now and start investigating who these top-tier politicians and prime ministers and presidents are around the world who have signed an agreement to show such loyalty in the cause of the World Economic Forum and this Great Reset. Go away and do your homework, everyone. I hope I'm wrong, but I think the way it's going and the way they're positioning and the way they're doing things, the likelihood is that we are right here. Stay awake, be aware, do your research and find out who the key players are here, and let the power of the people stop this before it happens, because this is not going to be good for the future of us, our children, our grandchildren, and the future generations moving forward. Let's take responsibility and let's educate ourselves, people. Don't be duped by the Ukraine war and the propaganda that's coming from the news. Get a firm grip on what's going on. And as Johnny always says at the end of our podcasts, believe nothing and question everything. Take care, everyone, and let me know what you think of this video. If it does hit home with you, share it, get it out there, and let's get as many people awake as possible. Thank you.